GetLowered. Thanks again for tuning into yet another video. Infamous coming at you live from the West Coast yet again. Sounds like California. So this is just an update on the Field Moto, the bike, blow by, just hectic stuff going on. All right. So I've already been through 3 auto tuning sessions with the bike, and the bike has been handling phenomenally better than before. It doesn't bog down at the 2000 RPM. I think there's still some improvements for sure, but I think that's gonna have to be with my local tuner or a custom tune. I just saw Ryan Cruzy's video. He has a 117. He put a 485 cam in it, and then he got it tuned, and there was a huge performance gain. The first pull, 117 with the 485. He had a tune. I don't know where he got the tune from, but he had a tune for the 485. It was pushing 100 horsepower and somewhere's like 120 or 130 foot-pounds of torque. He got it tuned at Trask, and they were able to get 130 horsepower. That is massive. 130 horsepower. And I believe they got I can't remember the torque. I think it was 130 torque or 137 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. So they got an additional 30 horsepower and an additional 14 pounds of torque or something like that. Massive numbers, and that's why I always, recommend getting it tuned, so they can fine tune, those numbers, and you might even get numbers like what Cruzy got with the 485. Keep in mind the 485, I believe, I think the 475 gets higher numbers, but the 485, the 485 performance or its torque really starts to come in below the 3000 mark. So and that's the opposite with this one. With the 475, the torque or the performance comes in around 3500, and I think the 485, the torque comes in around 2800 or something like that, 2700. So it comes on a little bit earlier, but that's like the difference. This one might be a little bit more on the performance, on the numbers, but honestly, I think having that early performance on the bottom end is something that I would rather have. So I'm debating on keeping this camera, switching over. But anyways, getting on to the tune itself, it's fantastic. All right, compared to my local tuner, my custom tune that I had before. I had the 475. I had the 2-in-1 exhaust, and I had the 55 intake. I now have the 64 intake, so that's the reason why I had to swap the tune. And another reason why, if you guys haven't been watching the channel, another reason why I had to get this retuned was because my original tune, it was just handling badly, quite badly. 23 miles per gallon, bad. Unburnt fuel, extremely rich. You guys can imagine. I mean, getting 23 miles per gallon is horrendous on just a stage 2, a 117 stage 2, and it's not even a 128 or a 131. If it was a 131 and I was getting 23 miles per gallon or a 135, then I could see that, being somewhat relatable or somewhat an issue with the bigger displacement. But this thing it's just a 114. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be 23 miles per gallon, considering that it weighs about 700 pounds with the fairing and the saddlebags. I think it's somewhere around 710, 720 pounds. But anyways, the bike's handling better. The tune, I think, it's handling a lot better. I am much happier now with the bike. It's not burning fuel anymore. The rich scent is no longer there. So there's a lot of things that I'm already happy with. I am currently at my trip with my with my second filling. of fuel, or after my second stop or my first stop of refueling the bike, I am noticing that that I'm extending my ride time. All right, before I would have about 77 miles and my fuel light would be turned on, meaning I gotta refuel. I'm currently at about I'm currently at about 70 miles and I still have half a tank. So already huge improvements over my local tuner. So like I mentioned, the bike's handling better. It's not burning as much fuel, and the bike feels fantastic now. Like I mentioned, after my third session of auto tuning, the bike feels fantastic. I'm really happy with the Fuel Moto tune. You know, the $100 compared to what I've already spent on the bike with my local tuner, it's a fantastic deal. I'm still planning on getting it tuned with a different tuner, but I really want to be able to get my miles per gallon so I can share with you guys, and you guys can decide if you guys want to go with Fuel Moto and probably a ton of auto tuning. I mean, you could keep on auto tuning the bike. You know, I'll probably end up just auto tune, and then we'll see how the bike handles. There's still, you know, a little bit of backfiring and like around the decel, but you know, that's something that I could live with, because when I initially started tuning this bike or auto tuning, there was was backfire, bogging down, hesitation, starvation. I'm not sure, but a lot of that has been resolved after 3 sessions of auto tuning. So let's get into the blow by and what's going on. You guys can see there's a huge mess all over the side of my bike. All right, this right here is from my foot, because it's been burning up my shoe. You guys can see, you guys can see where it's been burning up. I've been trying to keep my foot up towards the brake pedal, just trying to keep it away from the exhaust. But you guys can see there was a lot of mess going on here. All right, I was pushing the bike. You guys know how blow by works, of course. I have my Trask Checkmate trans cover right here. You guys can see, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but you guys can see it's a Trask M8 Checkmate trans cover, vented trans cover, and I had that little filter right in here by my ABS, or right behind the ABS, and it was just spitting out oil like crazy. It was just nuts. And you guys can also see on the tire as well, there's marks of oil, and you guys can see all of my exhaust. All of this was covered in oil. That's all oil right there. It was just an absolute mess, and I was just wondering, like, what the heck's going on? Because not even before the tune or before the Fuel Moto tune, my bike was fine. So I don't know if it was the bogging down. I don't know, because it's something about the pressure and the air inside the engine. Maybe when it was bogging or something like that, the 2000 mark, it was spitting out oil. I don't know. But as of right now, I relocated my air breather, my trans cover breather. I placed it right behind the rear cylinder. You guys can see it right there. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but it's right there, of course. It hasn't been leaking or spitting out oil like this. I mean, this whole side, you guys can even see the little cover for the battery. This whole thing was just completely covered in oil. I had oil dripping all the way down the frame. You can see I had oil all the way down here. It made a mess everywhere. I pulled on over because I'm seeing all of this burnt oil. I pulled on over and it was just dripping oil everywhere, so I was a little bit worried about it. But I also remember seeing Holy Shift's video when he was getting his bike dyno tuned. And it was the same thing. It's just, the high RPMs, the pressure builds up in the crankcase, and it starts leaking. So, and his was exactly the same thing like mine. The oil was just dripping out of his breather, and it was dripping straight onto his exhaust. So, I was checking my oil level and stuff like that, because I know if you overfill the case, you could, start seeing a lot of oil coming out. but it's not that much. I mean, we're right at the bottom. I think if I fill it up past this mark, I'm gonna start getting oil coming out on the breather. So I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm gonna just keep the oil at a low level. I gotta keep on, you know, monitoring or I gotta keep on checking my oil every 1,000 miles. I've already mentioned this in other videos. My 114 is not notorious for burning oil, but it's always a good idea checking your oil every 500 to 1,000 miles, because these bikes, of course, they have blow by and they do burn oil because of all the blow by. So that's that. In case you guys are having a similar issue with the oil and you're a little, you know, just wondering what the heck's going on, it's just these inmates are known for that. I believe Harley and SNS, they have a statement on it. Once they went over 88 cubic inches, then, you know, they started seeing a lot of blow by out of these bikes, and this is a 114, so I'm pretty sure it's something normal with these bikes. It's just it's normal. So the whole bike, the whole exhaust pipe, you guys can see it's a complete mess. Oil everywhere underneath the bike. I try cleaning it up as much as possible, but hey, it happens. So that's the update. In case you guys were wondering, Fuel Moto tune with the 64 intake and the new injectors. The bike is handling fantastic. I'm a fan so far. I'm very happy that I went with the Fuel Moto, and we'll just see what happens. So let's go ahead and turn the bike on. You guys can hear what she sounds like. This is a 475 with the SPC lane splitter. It's loud, it's rowdy. You guys have seen my videos. You guys know what kind of decibels it outputs. So it's filthy right now. You guys can just check it out. It's absolutely filthy, but you know, maybe we'll end up washing her sometime. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. I don't mind it looking filthy. So there it is right now. We're at 71 miles. Before, I would always have the fuel light turned on by now. So the bike's handling great. You guys can see it just wants to take off. And I also have the throttle tuner as well. I have the throttle tuner in this thing, and it's just a beast with the throttle tuner. So yes, there's still a little backfire like I mentioned, but I think if we just keep on auto tuning, it's gonna fix all of that stuff. Like I mentioned, it's handling 10 times better than before when I originally had the first impressions. I'm very, very happy with the Fuel Moto tune. So if you're on the market and you're on a budget, the Fuel Moto map is fantastic after a couple auto tuning you know, sessions, after a few auto tuning trips. So I'll just keep auto tuning, keep an eye on the fuel, and just provide updates and follow-ups, and you guys can, you know, just check back in, and if you're wondering what's going on, just check back in. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. Life Source, get out there and ride. Later.